And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Go ahead and say it, Ed. Go Tigers!
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
You like that? You like that?
F it. Jamar's down there somewhere.
New Orleans Saints select Marcus Davenport.
No!
Splash Brothers. Yeah.
It's playoff. Keep going, Brace.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
What is up, y'all, and welcome to episode 43 of the Dirty Boot Sports Podcast. Tonight, we have got special guest Jake Crain with Crain and Company. He's going to do a little guest interview with us. We're excited to have him on the show. And after that, we're going to follow it up with some college football week 3 preview.
So
Jake,
it's the Darren Sproles episode?
Yeah, man.
Oh, it is.
Sproles.
Yeah, that's right. That's all we need to go. Just Sproles. 43,
yeah.
Marcus Williams for the Saints. Don't know what he wears for the Ravens.
Yeah, I don't know where the Ravens either. He left us, so I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Hey, be nice.
Hey, he had a play that. Oh no, he didn't make the play. Never mind.
Shut up. You're a Saints fan.
Yeah.
So we've got Jake. Peyton, you want to tell us a little bit about him, how you found him? And
Man, I'm being a podcast junkie, I guess. I'm always searching and looking for people to listen to, and I first heard him. I want to say I was on Jordy Collada show. Is where I first maybe heard you on, and I thought, let me check this out. He was very informational on my LSU Tigers, first of all, but also SEC. And so I said, that's right. That's all I want to listen to anyway. So I started listening to you. I guess it was maybe a year ago or so, and then when you went to the volume, I was like, man, he's just growing. I felt like you just kept getting bigger and bigger, and now you're with the Daily Wire. So just, I guess, tell us, man, how you started out doing this.
Yeah. Well, number one, I appreciate you guys having me on. In all actuality, I'm just, waiting to wake up from a coma and somebody tell me like where I got hit, like what highway. 'Cause it's been wild for real. I mean, I've only really been doing this for 2 years. Played at South Alabama, coached there, coached 9 years, 6 at the Division I level, and was coaching during, COVID. We got sent back. The players got sent back too, and I just started fooling around with this. And again, like I had no idea. Like I would love to, come up here and say I had this master plan of how to take advantage of the quarantine, but it, really was kind of organic, which I guess, the best things in life really are. So I just went. I had this old laptop. My school laptop was still up where I was coaching, and long story short, I just got on there and just started talking. It was, really about football and basketball as well, and just trying to bide time. And man, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I started getting reached out to by people for sponsorships. I'm like, hey, I didn't know how much like a 30-second ad read is. I was like, I'll do a month of them for $1,500. They're like, all right, we'll do it. And I'm like, what? For real? Like, I looked up, I Googled or whatever, but nah, man, and got to the point really about 3 months into it, 3.5 months into it, I was supposed to fly back where I was, and I called our head coach and was like, look, man, and I was actually interviewing for the DC job at the time, and I was like, look, man, I'm going to try this thing out. And so I came back and just was like, all right, well, if I'm going to try and do it, then I'm going to try and go all out. So I was doing like a show every day. It took all my technological knowledge to figure out how to get it on like Spotify and Apple and all that. That was like the Steve Jobs moment for me. And so I got it on Apple and Spotify, and got reached out to by these investors in Atlanta. And they're like, hey, we want to move you, because I was in Mississippi. They're like, we want to move you to Atlanta and put you on video, because I was just doing audio. And so they moved me to Atlanta. I live in Marietta. We started LLC. A couple months after that, Colin Cowherd cold emails us and it's like, hey, we want to set up a meeting. So I'm like, this is just the wildest thing that ever happened. So we fly out to LA, meet with Colin, come back. We do a 6-month deal with the volume. And then while we're renegotiating, Ben Shapiro messages me on Twitter. And he's like, hey, man, I've been listening to the show. I really like it. And, that's like LeBron being like, hey, man, you're good at basketball, Or like, Ted Williams being like, man, you got a good swing on you, it's like that. So, I was like, thanks, man, I appreciate it. And so we started talking with them, and long story short, Ben and them were like, we want y'all to be like the national sports show for us, because at the J-Boy show where I was before, we were just college football and SEC, and I always felt like, I wanted to be able to talk about all of it. Now we all know which one's king. I mean, nobody's over here saying untruths, but it's wild, man. And the show's going great. We just had, our first video hit over 500,000 views, so we're really excited.
Good deal, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did have to look you up when Peyton was like, man, I think I caught a big fish here with an interview. And then, your rise has been relatively fast, so the only reason I didn't know who you were. Then I saw Daily Wire, I was like, oh my God. I kind of nerd out a little bit on Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and all that. Yeah, I was pretty excited about that. Now, Ben Shapiro, right? Is he really a big baseball fan?
Huge baseball fan. Big White Sox fan. We just did about a 30-minute sit down with him and hit a bunch of different topics. But his dad is like a baseball encyclopedia. His dad's awesome. Like Mr. Shapiro's absolutely. He can tell you like what pitch Sandy Koufax threw, on a 2-2 count and random regular season game back in the day. So I always enjoy talking with him and his dad about it as well. And, he came on our show and called the Warriors in 6 too. I got to give credit where credit's due, but we actually just started a fantasy league. So I'm ready to square up with him and really kind of, show him the truth.
Well, good deal, man. I think I'm
How's your feeling?
So this was where Colin was right, correct?
Say it again.
This is where Colin was right.
Talking about for us to go the volume.
Yeah, I mean, if Cowherd came to you, you're not going to say that you were the wrong part of one of his segments, right? Colin was right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'll tell you something funny about that. So, I had never been to Los Angeles before in my life. We played at San Diego State. We played at UC Davis. So we go out to LA and I don't have any of my bearings. Like we flew first class. I'd never flown first class before. So we fly out there. We land. I don't know where I'm at, man. But so we're supposed to stay at this hotel, like kind of on the beach or whatever. And so I still don't know where I'm at. I'm, getting my bearings. Everything's new. So we get to this hotel. We get our bags and we walk to the back of it. And I go out on the back deck and I'm sitting there and I'm just looking. And so I looked at my brother and I was like, hey, man, do you know how many people I have ran over on that beach in Grand Theft Auto? It's the exact math. I'm like, I know where that is. I know where that is. I was like, the things I've done on that pier by that Ferris wheel. On Grand Theft Auto. But for a second, I knew where I was. I actually knew where I was. So that and Rick Ross was on the plane too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we went out there. We went out there and 2021, and I was the exact same way. I was like, I can get us around this entire city. I
was like, look, I think I know a guy that if we need anything, he can get it.
Absolutely.
And then you pulled some poor dude out of his car, shot him, and drove off.
Yeah, well, we were there a couple of days, so we after the meeting, and again, somehow I was with a garage full of unbelievably custom-made cars and motorcycles. So it was just a crazy time.
Good stuff. All right, Ben.
Well, let me ask you a question here. If you were, say, the college football commissioner, what would be your first change right now in college football?
I would make it probably my first one is, honestly, I'm a defensive guy. I start calling it offensive targeting, but I won't go. That's a different route. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I would probably say that if you can, I would change the transfer rule where you can't transfer in conference without having to sit out. I'm fine with you going from Pitt to USC, but I don't like you going from LSU to Alabama with no repercussion on that. I think it's more of a rule kind of change within a rule, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with that. I think the transfer portal doesn't upset me. And apparently it's here to stay, but I don't like when you go to say LSU and you recruited this kid all 3 years in high school and he plays cornerback and he plays cornerback. That's right. Not mention a name or a single digit. But that coach from, say, Alabama, you can't tell me during his freshman year at LSU, say he's not getting the playing time, a text message or two doesn't accidentally get sent to his phone, be like, hey, man, won't you come, here. Now, if it was a coach from, like you said, at Pittsburgh, it's not going to affect it. So we could care less. But these kids that are, especially in the SEC, they get recruited by the same coaches in the same circle there. So it's not like they delete them from their phone or take them off social media. So it's going to always be just people coming in and getting who they want when they want.
Yeah, and another way you communicate is through the players. I mean, all these players that go to LSU and Alabama, these places, they all go to camps together. They all know each other. They're all in touch with each other. So I don't even have to, as a coach, text message the player. I'll just be like, hey, man, you want us to try and get your boys with, whoever, shoot them a text message. Say our ears are open or something like that. Or, maybe there's a way to get something done. But, to me, we talk about tampering, right? Like that's one way I think you combat it a little bit. But what's to stop? Let's say if I'm at school A and we're going to have a really good team the next year, we're not sure about our cornerback position and we're playing team B and they have two young corners that are really talented that we'd like to have. What's going to stop me as a head coach from firing our corners coach at the end of the season and hiring their guy and then his guys transfer over with him? Like what's going to stop that? There's so many avenues that could go on, and you're never going to totally stop everything. But my problem, I don't have a problem with NIL. I wouldn't have a problem with the transfer portal, but they let all these things out at the same time, and they didn't have any rules attached to anything. And then you look back and you're like, why is this causing so much chaos? Or why do we kind of not know what's going on? Well, it's because when you release 3 different huge changes at once, and you have no guardrails and you're building the parachute on the way down, how in the hell can you look at me and complain when it's not going perfect or when you're trying to add rules and now nobody wants them? There's an old saying, you can always start hard and get easier. You can't start easy and get harder. That's just the way it works. But, again, what's funny to me is one aspect of the transfer portal that I think we're seeing at least early in the season, now we'll see if this keeps going, is it seems like it's kind of helping parity a little bit, which you will not find me complain about. But that doesn't mean that there doesn't need to be subtle changes or go a different direction in some areas to try and build those guardrails as we go.
Well, I actually talked about that the other night on our podcast, Sunday night, after the App State, the Marshall, stuff like that. I thought it would hurt those teams more because the few good ones that they have with the LSU and Bama's of the world, they're bolting to those schools to try to win something. But I really think it's the opposite. I think your second and third string, 4 to 5 star guys are not playing. They're like, forget this. I want to go play. They're just going to any, whatever school is close to, whatever school is close to their home. They're going to it and get started out. Well, I'll start right away. And it's schools.
Yeah, well, you got to think about it even deeper too, though. Imagine now there used to be a penalty if, let's say, there was a really good FCS quarterback, like a big time FCS quarterback or a big time D1 AA D2 quarterback. If you were going to transfer up, you had to sit a year. If you transferred down, you didn't have to sit. Well, now if I want to go get a really good FCS quarterback and maybe I'm Troy or somebody like that, and I didn't get that backup at that big school out of the portal, well, I can just go get him with no repercussion. Hell yeah, he's going to want to leave that FCS school and come play Division I football at a place like Troy or at South Alabama or at Fresno State or someplace like that. That was the part I was interested to see, and it hasn't really affected it as much as what I thought. But I think it's actually helped those group of 5s or those lower level P5s really kind of upgrade themselves.
And I agree with that. I've been, and I want to hear your opinion on this. I know we expanded the playoffs. I want to see the group of 5 have their own playoff, have their own national championship.
Yeah.
And what's the reason behind that's not even getting talked about? Like, is it a money deal or is it like, I don't get, we're close to Louisiana Tech. Well, starts the season out every year. They have no chance of winning anything of significance.
Even if they go undefeated.
Even if they go undefeated, that's right. But you give them their own playoff, man. They feel like they're getting played for something. And they get to stadiums with packed. Because if you have a group of 5 with, say, I don't know, 12 teams, say you have those games, the first 2-3 rounds at home, well, we'll go to that if it's a Tech got a playoff game. Them kids get to play in front of sold out stadiums that they're not used to playing at their own stadium.
No, without a doubt. I mean, we had UAB head coach Brian Vincent on. He wants one. We're releasing our interview with Clay Helton. You know, Georgia Southern just went and beat Nebraska. We're dropping that for our Saturday special. So everybody check that out. You know, I think we should do it. The argument against it is, okay, well, if we're just going to give a Group of 5 playoff, then what would have happened to Cincinnati? Or maybe, you know, if a team like Fresno State or somebody runs the table and in the expanded playoff, and even Clay Helton, I don't want to give anything up. He wants to see, you know, maybe in the Sun Belt, if they can get national enough to where they could be effective in that 12-team playoff. You know, maybe a Coastal Carolina sneaks in, somebody sneaks in that 12 spot. I really had, you know, two different theories. One, you give them their own playoff. I don't think anybody loses in that. And you have schools that we've already seen go from Group of 5 that are going to Power 5 schools, right? Houston, Cincinnati. I mean, we're seeing it all over the country now. So if a team does want to do that, more power to you. I don't think that should take away from the crossover games either. Just because they have their own college football playoff doesn't mean that a Group of 5 team like Tulane can still play Oklahoma, non-conference early in the year, stuff like that. I don't want to lose that. That helps the Group of 5 schools from a monetary standpoint too. My other theory was, why wouldn't you go to 8 teams? Because 12's, you know, I know you didn't ask me about the 12-team number. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But 8 teams where you have an automatic qualifier out of the Power 5s, you have 3 at-larges, and you have 2 separate top 25s. You have a Power 5 top 25, and you have a Group of 5 top 25. And that 8th slot is reserved for the team that finishes ranked number 1 in that Group of 5 top 25. Because it doesn't just let that Group of 5 team get in the playoff. All right, what it does is now if I'm you know, a UAB or something like that, I'm not having to wait on the college football rankings to say, hey, look, we're the number 22 ranked team. I can say, hey, we're the number 3 ranked team in something more that's like our weight class. I think that gives you a little more prominence too. So those were kind of the 2 ways I looked at it. Obviously, they're going with the 12 team.
Do you think 12 was too big right away, or you think they should have went? My thing was always go 7. You go your 5 Power 5 conference champions, 2 wild cards, and then the 1 seed gets a bye. So it makes you earn something with the 1 seed. But I mean, obviously we're going to 12. So.
Here's my thing. Like, I thought 12 was the cap until you start messing with the regular season. And I think people kind of have a misconception of what messing with the regular season means. I'm not saying that it's going to make games less interesting later in the year. It's going to do the exact opposite. You have a 12-team slotted playoff. More teams are going to have a chance later in the year in games that really wouldn't matter outside of a fledgling bowl or maybe a little bit better bowl. The difference between getting a new Xbox or a lounge chair, depending on which bowl you go to. Well, now you have a chance to do more at the end of the year. There'll be more movement. There'll be more excitement. You'll have more you won't have people opting out because more teams will have a chance. You won't totally get rid of it, but you'll lessen it because the lifetime will be longer there. When I talk about messing with the regular season, I'm talking about having to eliminate regular season games, because the more teams you add to a playoff, the more games you have to play in said playoff. And with the way they look at safety protocols and stuff now, even though guys are getting paid through NIL, they are going to monitor how many games are played in college. We already see it in the NFL. It's a big talking point there. So if they're not going to stop at 12, just like they weren't going to stop at 4. So you're never going to get rid of the complaining. Look at the NCAA basketball tournament. The 69th team and 70th team and 71st team complains every single year. So you'll never stop that complaint. It's just how many games is it going to take before you have to start cutting games out of the regular season? Do we go back to an 11-game regular season like we used to have? That's my thing when it comes to it.
Well, and then when you go back cutting back, first of all, you're going to mega conferences. So Oklahoma and Texas are joining, looks like probably next year. Okay. Well, your Oklahoma Tulane matchup you were just talking about is for sure gone, because your conference will get bigger. They're going to want to play more conference games. And if you cut back, they're going to cut those little regular. They're going to for sure cut the non-conference.
We're going to lose non-conference games.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I guess that's what they're wanting or going toward.
Well, yeah, I mean, and look, I don't want that to happen, but if the conferences get big enough, like the SEC is not taking bad teams. So if you're going to play an all-conference schedule like we saw during the COVID year, so there is somewhat of a precedent. Now, that wasn't the amount of teams that you have to have in a mega conference to just play a 12-game regular season in conference. There's probably not going to be a bad game. Can you imagine being like an SEC team and playing a 12-game schedule against a mega conference SEC? That there's no Alabama State. There's no, fledgling group of 5 school. I mean, you're in a fist fight every single week.
Yeah. And
so,
then
we'll see.
And then to me, you're kind of going away from the safety protocol, because then you're playing those kind of matchups week in, week out. I mean, like LSU when they played Southern Saturday, I mean, the starters were out of there before halftime.
Yeah, you're like the Little Giants playing Dallas Carter, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So I where's Icebox? Do you see any teams? I mean, I know Washington and Oregon is trying to get in the Big Ten. I mean, is the Pac-12 and Big 12 just, I guess ACC too, are just going to see what happens and then go from there, or do you think the SEC is they're not done?
I think the SEC is done for a little bit. I think they're going to make sure this, acquisition of Texas and Oklahoma goes smooth. If you saw today, I don't know what day we're releasing this, but on Wednesday, which is today, but there'll be another one next week around this time. They just said that the Oklahoma series with SEC teams that were supposed to be non-conference games just got nixed, and they're supposed to be played in 2025. So if you kind of follow the bouncing balls, you heard a couple weeks ago, or I think it may have been last week, that it's looking like Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 staying for those extra couple of years isn't going to work out. It's starting to really smell like next year. So I think they're going to get that acquisition done. I think Sankey's going to help lead the charge on this playoff expansion and getting everything in order on that. I mean, he's even said that he doesn't think it can be done by 2026, let alone, even earlier than that. So I think once they get that playoff expansion done, you're going to see some more movement in conferences. But right now, the Pac-10, which that's what it is. It's not the Pac-12 anymore. At least right now, USC and UCLA are out the door. So the Pac-10 seems to be dying a lot more than the Big 12 is. I mean, you got to give the Big 12 credit. This time last year, it was looking like they were a wilting flower, and they've turned it around. I love the ads with Cincinnati and Houston and BYU and UCF. I mean, you're tapping into big markets with teams with a lot of potential. So I think the Big 12's feeling, pretty healthy.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I guess I'm really curious too to see when Texas and Oklahoma do come. I mean, what's your thought of how they're going to divide them? Who's going to what division do you think?
I don't think there's going to be divisions. I think you're going to get your, couple permanent rivals and everybody else is going to rotate, which, I think is the beauty of scheduling and how it's supposed to be. They say, all right, if you get 3 permanent rivals and everybody else rotates, then everybody will play everybody home and away within a 4-year career. Isn't that the whole point? That's it right there. Like, I'm not Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting, but that math, adds up to me. That's right. Which since that does make a lot of sense, they're probably not going to do it because, again, it's about money, and I don't know how they'll manipulate it into where they get the best matchups possible. But to me, it would be to have everybody play everybody outside of the 3 permanent rivals, which that's going to be an absolute bloodbath and great matchups within those 3 permanent rivals just by adding Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, what is the whole point of scheduling, right?
No, I agree. Texas or Texas A&M in 3 years, who's the better program?
Oh, that's tough.
A&M.
Wow. Oh, not what I was expecting. Are you not?
Look, let Max Johnson play. Like I'm, all I've done all summer on the show, I'm telling you, Max Johnson gives the best chance to win. Best chance to win. Got absolutely just destroyed by A&M fans, and now like Haynes King is out there, panicking more than Jody Foster. I mean, it's just, let the man spit. He's got 35 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in his career. Like in LSU last year, y'all know. I mean, it was an absolute toxic disaster. The O-line couldn't block somebody on Facebook. Off the field, it was like watching 21 Jump Street, and yet he still threw 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I mean, like, what else y'all want? Like what? Oh, he doesn't run 4.4. Well, guess what? He's not going to go out there and just absolutely pull a Drew Barrymore from 51st Dates and just forget for 4 quarters because it's the game.
I'm loving the movie references here. Keep it going. Yeah. We're a movie podcast too.
Well, I communicate the truth. It makes sense though, right?
It does. It does.
Yeah, it really it does. You don't feel like Jimbo, I don't know how to really word this. It seems like the offense ever since he's been there hasn't just been phenomenal, though. I mean, I think I saw yesterday where he's not put a receiver in the draft since he's been at A&M.
Yeah, but you quarterbacks he's gotten drafted. Because I'm the type where I'm like, listen, you get him drafted, that's a great job by you. What they do after that is not your fault. Like everybody's like, oh, well, he had Jamarcus Russell. Got Jamarcus Russell drafted number 1 overall pick, and he was the bust. We got him drafted number 1 overall. Come to my school, you'll get drafted number 1 overall. How about you got Kellen Mond drafted, who couldn't start on a flag football team in half the places the way he throws the ball. He got Christian Ponder drafted, who the best thing about him was when his wife was on ESPN more. He's got EJ Mitchell. Got drafted. He made money playing football after college. I always laugh because sometimes it's not just about a team. Like Jimbo is the head coach, right? He's obviously the play caller, offense. The buck stops with him. But some places aren't going for that crazy up-tempo style offense that's going to score 45 points. Some places are trying to be balanced. You'd love for the offense to go out there and score 45 points every game. But what you really want is a really competitive offense, really competitive defense that's good on special teams. Because name me one national champion in college football the past 20 years that was one-dimensional as a football team, that was really good on one side of the ball and absolutely bad on the other side of the ball. And even to marry on that, find me another national championship team that wasn't good up front. You can't, because they don't exist. So I think play calling is probably the most overrated thing in the game of football. There's been guys that don't really know anything, that are very base and very simple, that had the best players that won national championships. There are other guys that are absolutely Albus Dumbledore when it comes to coming up with game plans and plays, but they don't have good enough players, so they look like they don't know what they're talking about. Talent plus execution dominates play calling every single day of the week. In the NFL, everybody's basically running the same thing. It's about matchups. Who's got the best players and the best matchups? So, yeah, you can narrowly focus and say, all right, well, the offense hasn't been the most explosive, but they did go 9-1 in 2020. And anybody that uses the COVID year excuse, that excuse sucks. It was everywhere. It wasn't like COVID was like, all right, guys, we're going to Arkansas. Let's just not go to Mississippi or Alabama. Let's just screw over Arkansas or my team. It makes no sense. It was everywhere. So there it is. There's my answer.
Come on. Yeah, keep going.
All right. My favorite thing you probably, and actually we had Jordy Clyde on last week. We talked about it. I love how you use the reference to Brian Kelly. He's the stepfather LSU needed.
Yes. Yes.
And man, he's only been here, I guess, 6 months now. And you can already feel and see the change of what he's doing in the culture. And people around here are diehard and they want to win now. But it's going to take time. And I feel like it's going to take longer than we think.
At least 3 years.
I'm thinking 3 years. Do you think that's a good time frame it's going to take?
Are we talking about to win a national championship, or are we talking about to be competitive?
I say
for
like competitive against the big dogs.
Yeah, big competitive against big dogs.
Alabama again.
Yeah, and maybe getting to Atlanta, I guess.
Yeah, I think 3 is a good number. I'll say this, what you're referencing again, when you talk about taking a football program that's in the SEC, that has the cachet of LSU, so the potential's there. And nobody's going to argue that. You're the only school in the state that anybody cares about, in a state that's saturated with talent, that loves football. It's y'all and the Saints. It's like fixing an economy. You don't fix an economy over 1 month. You don't fix an economy over 3 big decisions. You fix an economy over 2 years, making a lot of good small decisions that lead to a final result that is better than where you found it. The couple things I will say that is in LSU's favor is the portal rules. It's a lot easier to flip a roster now than it was before any of this transfer stuff, because getting guys that are able to play at that level without having to sit a year is humongous, especially up front. That's where LSU is going to bridge the gap. They've always had good skill players. Even in y'all's worst years, y'all have good skill players. The difference is if you want to compete right now with the Alabamas and the Georgias, it comes down to your offensive line and your defensive line and the depth. Now, what happened to Mason Smith is just unfortunate. I still don't think LSU's defensive line from a depth standpoint is where it needs to be for them to be able to compete at the highest level. They were good in the front four starting off. You heard some flashes about some young guys behind him and some other guys figuring it out, and we know there's talent there, but they don't have the depth necessary to sustain a full season in the SEC and be able to, at the end, be effective in the pass rush and stop the run without having to bring pressure or do any run stunts. The offensive line is not close. It's not even close right now. That's the biggest area where LSU has to improve, because I don't care what type of offense you run. If it's the triple option, if it's the air raid, if it's the spread, if it's the spread option, if you can't run and you can't protect the passer, you're not going to win. That's why everybody that said, oh, Jaden Daniels isn't very good, BS. He was running for his life. As an Auburn guy, I know what a bad offensive line looks like. I watched Bo Nix run around for his life. Y'all last year watched him run around for his life and pull a Patronus spell. That's like my third Harry Potter reference in the middle of the field to win the game. LSU's got an offensive line problem. And if you have an offensive line problem, you have a winning problem. The minute that gets fixed is the minute y'all will get back to where y'all are supposed to be.
And we're heading that direction. And with Will Campbell there, there's another one, Emory Jones.
Yeah. Will's going to be really good. He's getting great experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's kind of a local guy. So we're definitely.
You got another one right there from Neville.
And we have another one from his same school that's a 5-star that just committed with us too. It was his right tackle when he was at Neville.
Neville must be where the lab is, where they're just creating them. Brian Kelly was like, lab operational. They're like, yeah.
No, I agree. I really think that it's just going to take time. And I think also too, Louisiana is absolutely saturated with talent. And I think you close the fence for sure. That's going to be a big thing for us. But what I love about Brian Kelly's staff is how national they're going to be able to recruit now. LSU probably, when O got there, he started trying to do that. We never really went, northeast and a lot of west. We kind of just stayed southeast regional in recruiting. And with Brian Kelly's staff, what I loved about him, he got his 3 to 4 Louisiana guys that he knew he needed, and Frank Wilson and guys like that. But he also got guys like kind of here and there that can get us guys that we've never been able to get before. And we've always, in my opinion, the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world and Clemson, they go get those guys. And I think that's going to help us a lot too.
Yeah, well, again, I think you pick and choose guys outside, again, that supplement that roster that you build out of Louisiana. But because to me, I think you got to make sure that you're getting it, and you should. LSU should never have a problem recruiting Louisiana, and I agree with you. Having those guys on staff that have those connections that have had a lot of success in the state is smart. You just can't start going, too far outside the garden to go, taste some fruit from somewhere else. It's good to go pick an apple or a pear or, maybe a couple, bushel of strawberries or something to add on to the dessert. But you got everything you need in Louisiana, that panhandle right there in Florida. LSU doesn't need to be going to Ohio all the time to find guys. That they can find maybe 1 or 2 there that can supplement. But I think Brian Kelly's got a good mix of it. And look, LSU's a national brand. I mean, kids in California know who LSU is. Kids in Idaho know who LSU is. So that obviously helps.
Yeah, every DB and wide receiver for LSU should be from Louisiana. Yes, every single one of them is from Louisiana.
Yeah, and you know what? If you go to Texas and steal a kid that runs 4.35, great. It's great.
Yeah, that's right. No, I agree with that. I guess and another thing, because it's kind of started talking about, which when they lost Saturday, it didn't help. But I say another 3 to 4 year question. Do you think LSU's program is going to be better than Florida and Billy Napier?
Yes. Well, again, we say better. I mean, what if? I mean, are we saying like better every year? Or are we saying like LSU just going to be better than Florida every year? Because to me, football is cyclical, and you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs when you play in as competitive a conference of this as the SEC is. So if we're saying over a 5-year span Do I think LSU is going to win a national championship before Florida? Yeah. Do I think LSU would win the division before Florida? Yeah, I'd probably say that. But I don't think there's going to be some humongous gap where Florida's this terrible team and LSU's this elite team or versa. I think, places like LSU and Florida, they have staying power. You're a state school. We all know the success Florida's had in the past. So, when we're going to say better, I think we got to define what that is, like how wide that gap is, right? Like what are we saying is better? So I think LSU will be better overall when it comes to winning championships. But do I think Florida will be fine? Yes.
Get into some NFL stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. What would your take?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What did you say?
I said, what's NFL? No, I'm just kidding.
What was your takeaway in week 1 in the NFL? Do you have anything that surprised you?
Chiefs are good.
Or the Cardinals.
My takeaway was, obviously you look at the Giants, Brian Daboll, I never thought I'd say, man, Daniel Jones has some stones, but the Titans defensively, I couldn't believe they got gashed the way they did. I know Saquon's an alien, but, with Mike Vrabel, and somebody that had Derrick Henry on their fantasy team, which, I don't want to talk about that. I was shocked by that. The way the Colts played, the Texans with Lovie Smith, the Colts adding Matt Ryan. I was shocked that, the game, they were lucky the game ended up in a tie. They were down 20-3 and it wasn't close the whole game. But, the Saints, man, the Falcons did the best job of tanking in game 1 that I've ever seen in my life. They've got everybody.
No doubt.
Nobody's talking about it. It was the great. I think Arthur Blank has a deal with Marcus Mariota. He's like, Marcus, listen, I'm so you think you're rich, you're poor compared to me. But you're a peasant compared to the amount of money I have. I will give you $500 million if you just pretend to try really hard and get us close and lose. It's like, they went to him when he had that fumble and they're like, hey, in the headset, they're like, Marcus, Arthur Blank just beat down here and he said, trust the dragon. That's what he told us to tell you. And Marcus goes, they get the ball. The greatest job of tanking. Hats off to the Falcons. What an unbelievable job.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that they did too. We do.
Yeah, man. Look, that was the defense. I'm looking at Dennis Allen like, all right, come on, man. You're the defensive guru. You got Honey Badger back there. He's in Louisiana, so his powers are +5. What's going on?
Yeah. Maybe that's what Jameis did in the blue tent. Maybe he called Blank up and he was like, hey, we have a deal here.
It's like on the new Longest Yard movie with Adam Sandler when he meets him after halftime.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
What's your opinion on Jameis Winston?
Man, it's funny. I think Jameis, and look, he's made mistakes. We all know about everything at Florida State. He's one of those guys that's goofy athletic. That it's like running backs that they're strong and they're fast and they're big, but they run funny. Those guys are harder to tackle. You're used to tackling people that run normal. When I see Jameis, he's almost always falling down and defenders are confused because you don't know if he's falling down and you can't hit him. And then he'll throw it 40 yards like this, in some weird way on a dime. And the 2 passes he made to Michael Thomas, the first one, that laser fade, as you want to call it, where he just threw the BB on top of the corner's helmet, that was an absolute dart. And then the second one he put in the back hip as Michael was going down, that was just absolute pure emotion and chemistry. So Jameis is just goofy athletic, man. You see him move around the pocket. He's looks like he's on roller skates, like a newborn giraffe on roller skates. And you're like, how's this guy any good? And then you look up and he threw for 325 and 3 touchdowns and ran for 65 yards. You're like, what? Wait, what? He's like the kid that you always get picked about halfway through for dodgeball, and then you find out once you got older that he's pitched for the Rockies for 4 years. It's just some people just figure it out.
That's a very good analysis for sure. Yeah, because that throw he threw to Landry down the sideline with less than a minute left. He wouldn't even really, his feet weren't even in position to throw it. He threw it for yards.
Jameis if Jameis was a painter, he wouldn't be somebody just paints normal stuff. He wouldn't be like Andy Warhol. He'd be like Jackson Pollock, where you just got the bucket of paint, threw it, and smeared yourself all over it and somehow it, sells for $10 million. Like it just, that's who he'd be. Like, the paint you look at and you're like, it looks like you dropped the paint, like, and you screwed up and now you're too embarrassed to say it, but it made more money than I will in my whole life.
Sometimes I wonder with Jameis if, that 30 interception season just kind of hangs over his head. He came into New Orleans following up Drew Brees, who is efficient with the football, protects the football. And, Jameis hasn't thrown a lot of picks for us. But sometimes it's almost like, hey man, it's all right, don't worry about it, just cut it loose, man. Just go.
Yeah, does he cringe every time he probably sees the number 30? Yeah, but I think he's gotten past it. I think Jameis is far enough along now in his career where he understands. You learn from those mistakes because you watch them and you see them and you see what you did. And what I've noticed is when he still takes chances, but he's not taking like crazy chances on every play. He's not doing something. He's not trying to score a touchdown on every play. And once you kind of learn that, it becomes a little bit easier and you stop turning the ball over as much.
Yeah, we talked about here on 5. We were like, we're not wanting a perfect season out of him. If he could give us, say, 35 touchdowns and 15, 16 interceptions, we won't be mad.
No.
Well, y'all need to be a team that's efficient on offense and is built around the defense. I mean, that's what y'all need to be, because it doesn't all need to be on Jameis. Jameis is a good player, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not a guy, not Josh Allen. A guy where you're like, all right, you're good enough to carry us through against anybody. Jameis just needs to make the right decisions and say the right stuff, and just let that goofy athleticism work, man. It's a real thing.
No, I agree. I guess more on the NFL right quick. If you're Dallas, if you're the GM at Dallas right now, do you make the Jimmy G trade? Do you just sit there and see what happens, or what would you do?
If I'm the GM, that means I'm Jerry Jones, and if I'm Jerry Jones, look, I'm just going. No, I don't care anymore. Y'all.
I'm a billionaire, baby.
I think Jimmy G's the best available. But I don't know if anybody watched how Trey Lance looked in the first game. I think the Niners may be like, hey, Jimmy, you remember we re-signed you as a backup quarterback for all that money? How do you want to be the starter? How would you like that? I think he's going to end up being the starter for the Niners. I think the Cowboys are just an absolutely dysfunctional organization that I have no problem pointing a finger and laughing at, because, you got Jerry Jones up there who's just hires anybody that'll say yes. I mean, let's really think about it, right? Chan Gailey, Dave Campo, Jason Garrett, Wade Phillips, and even Wade was like, "No, screw this. You can just fire me or whatever." It ran Jimmy Johnson out of town, and now Mike McCarthy, who looks like the dad off every sitcom ever. You think any of those guys are telling Jerry Jones no? Like, you think those guys like, Jerry, I think that's an absolute terrible idea. What an idiotic idea. No, nobody's saying that to Jerry Jones. So he's going to keep trying to make moves in his ivory tower, and it's not going to work. And Dak's overrated, and their offensive line gets hurt more than a high school girl's feelings, and it's unfortunate because Tyron Smith's had a great career, and Zach Martin, all those guys. It's just a dysfunctional organization, and then you don't make any moves. Like, you made no moves. You got rid of Amari Cooper. Who'd you bring in? Who plays receiver for the Cowboys outside of CeeDee Lamb? Michael Gallup, he's hurt. Dalton Schultz, good tight end. Who else you got? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. And Zeke's working out at Curves. I mean, it just, I
don't. So who's your NFL team that you root for?
Man, here's the crazy part. Like, I grew up in the state of Alabama. Like, my father played for the Packers and the Oilers, the Texans. Now, I've really never had an NFL team. Like, I watch it, love it because I love football, but I'm not like, yeah, man, can't wait for the Saints to come on today, or like, man, the Falcons, man, rise up, or anything like that. I just like watch it and talk about it. So I really don't have a team.
College, you have besides Auburn? I mean, that's your thing.
Besides Auburn, what do you mean, dog? Like, you can only have one, right?
Hey, well, I mean, what the.
You're not one of those guys that's like, yeah, I'm an LSU fan, a Duke fan, Warriors fan.
Hey, well, we have a couple of those on here.
Oh, no, guys. Come on.
Hey, I've been a Warriors fan since 2012, so it counts. It counts.
What? Wait, okay, so 10 years statute of limitation. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You're in your congrats on your 10th year. You're like a citizen now. Like technically, you can be a fan.
And you were like 11 years old at that time.
I was,
too.
yeah,
He was,
yeah.
he was a kid, so I get a pass on that.
Oh, okay. You're 11. Okay. Oh, my bad. Jeez.
It's statutory.
I didn't mean to destroy the 11-year-old you. Like I didn't.
You got any gambling picks this weekend that you like, college or NFL?
Man, yeah. So the way we do it on Crain and Company is we do 2 bets a day outside of the weekend. We do 6 college bets and 6 NFL bets. So we have 6 slots to fill. Now we can wait till Saturday morning to release those, or you can take sharps. So I always like taking some of the sharps. Like for example, I got Kansas at plus 10.5. It's down to 8.5 right now. Going to play Houston, Kansas. I'm telling you, man, it ain't your grandma's Kansas. That quarterback they got's a problem. And he's making good decisions. That coach that came over from Buffalo is a real one. Lance Leopold. Like a lot of people slept on that hire a little bit. He's a real one. I got Bama minus 49 against La Monroe. It's up to 49.5. Those poor kids from La Monroe. They're going to be like the first wave they sent through like the hot gates to fight Leonidas and them that just had no idea what they were getting into. And then I got absolutely destroyed very quickly. So like Bama minus 49.5. Kansas State at home. The Green Wave. Look, I'm not over here trying to trash talk Tulane. I didn't sign up for that. I got a lot of respect for Willie Fritz, but Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn, Adrian Martinez gets out of Nebraska, and all of a sudden football's easier. It's amazing how that works. So I got Kansas State minus 13.5. What was the other one? Oh, Washington State minus 16.5 at home against Colorado State, it's now I think it's 17.5. Colorado State is just. I mean, it's almost they're gonna have to send FEMA out there. It's such a disaster. They're gonna send like trailers and food and doctors, like geologists and stuff. It's just a problem.
Like it.
I like it. How about Auburn this weekend?
Next question. Look, here's my thing. It's Auburn, man. Now, like it's Auburn. The crazy things happen in Jordan-Hare, but. We're not very talented. Like we don't have outside of Tank and Jarquez and Tank and Jarquez on offense. It's not really great. I mean, Chick Dawson, wide receiver, I like him. I think Camden Brown's going to be fine. Our tight end room's okay. But our offensive line, we just look like a group of 5 school offensive line. You know, like we don't look like Auburn normally looks. Like I look at us and I'm like, Georgia Southern for sure. Like when I look at our offensive line, I'm not like, oh my God, like these guys look, unbelievable. And the thing is, when you watch them, the worst part is it's one thing if you're not getting your assignment right. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if you're screwing up, busting assignments. It's another if you're getting your assignment right, you're just not good enough against, I don't know, San Jose State. Like those are the things that worry me. And we'll see. Something crazy will happen. I already said Auburn's going to start out 5-0 this year. I've said it. Because I've seen how Auburn is. LSU will come to Auburn, and y'all be winning the whole game. And then something crazy will happen late. Like Auburn will be up 1. Y'all have like a Hail Mary at the end. Like all our DBs will fall down. Your guy will be running full speed, and the Eagle will come grab the ball or something. Like something crazy will happen to Auburn will be 5-0, and everybody's gonna be like, Brian Harson's Pat Dye told you guys. The burn in hell boosters. And then we'll go to Georgia and it look like we're bringing a team from Friday Night Tights up there to play the Titans and get destroyed. Then we'll lose at Ole Miss. Then we'll lose at Mississippi State. Somehow the refs will hand us the Arkansas game at home. I just look, it's 7-5. Okay. It's 7-5. It smelled like 7-5. I just can't wait to, be let down after the 5-0 start. Can't wait. Auburn will win. Auburn will beat Penn State by 10. Watch. It'll be something crazy like that. Auburn will play out of their minds and give everybody hope. And that's the worst part.
Let's be honest. I think y'all going to be definitely looking for a coach this offseason. Is there any names that you...
Hugh Freeze, please. Like literally, Giants, help us, God.
Yeah. Do you think if he gets that offered, I mean, you think the SEC is going to allow it? I mean, wasn't there a thing?
Well, look, I don't. Number one, it's been enough time, okay? Like they let Urban Meyer back on TV. Like really, like let's not act like Hugh Freeze coming back to the SEC wouldn't be a huge story, a huge national story. Like I think Greg's like, listen, don't hire Hugh Freeze unless you really, really, really want to, and then I'm gonna have to say something bad about you. But I'm not going to just totally block him if somebody did want to hire him. But y'all heard me say that. We write that down for the record. Y'all heard me say that. Don't hire Hugh Freeze unless you have to, and then do it. But I'm going to be mad. That's what I think. That's exactly how I think the conversation went.
I think he'd be a great hire for Auburn, too.
I think he would, too. Come on. You beat Bama with Bo Wallace. Bring that guy. Bring that guy. Bring that guy. Please. That Bama team with Bo Wallace, who sounds like, you know, the guy who plays band and or drums in Morgan Wallen's band?
That's true. Nebraska, who gets that job? Who wants that job?
Man, I think Trev Alberts is a good AD. Like, they'll hire somebody like Matt Campbell or something. They'll go super safe. Like, we're bringing in Matt Campbell to make sure everybody, you know, is just nice to everybody and everybody plays hard for Nebraska. They're going to hire a Nebraska-style guy, and it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. You know the average distance of a signee for Nebraska's recruiting class last year from the campus to where that signee lived was? 532 miles. Ooh. You know what distance was? 32. Nebraska, this in the 70s or the 90s. These kids don't know who Nebraska is. They're not going to go. You're not going to get the elite of the elite to go out to Nebraska unless there's something exciting there. They need somebody young, exciting. Hell, I think they should hire Hugh Freeze. They won't. You know, they're going to hire somebody that's like, you know, he's going to do it the right way. And you know what? Good. But you need a winner, okay? You don't need a choir boy. You don't need an Eagle Scout to come in there and show all the players how to, you know, make fire out of sticks and stones and what type of bird that is. You need to be able to go get players that can line up and block somebody or guys that can rush the passer and looks faster than, I don't know, Northwestern. Like, so at the end of the day, Nebraska needs to do something that's cool. Do something that's cool. Scott Frost wasn't cool. He had one good year because of Josh Heupel. He went 7-6 and then went undefeated. Mike Riley fell apart. And they're like, oh, Scott Frost, please, come save us. We'll do anything for you. And he was unproven. And you see what happens. Just fool's gold, man. It's Curse of Oak Island all over again. They're never going to find it.
Oh, I knew when LSU receiver Trey Palmer transferred up there, which he never saw the field much. He did some punt return and stuff. He was a good athlete. And I'm sitting there watching that Nebraska game open week 0, I guess.
He looked like an Avenger, like out there against everybody else.
That's right. He couldn't even get on the field at LSU. But I mean, it's
like again. Do you see their defensive ends? Listen. I get it. I get what you're trying to do, but it's not going to work. Like you got to go get a Kendall Briles, man. Get if they're smart, they try and go get Jamie Chadwell from Coastal. But I don't think Jamie would take that. I wouldn't take that job if I'm Jamie. Hell no.
I think he'd pull the Billy Napier and turn it down.
I'm with you. I think he would too. It says Coastal Carolina. You know where that means I'm at? On the coast. My school's rich. Unbelievably rich. Richer than anybody knows.
That's right.
And
like,
Scott Frost was a champion at UCF, right? So that's a national champion.
National champion?
Yeah. There was champions.
Parents? Like it's like that's you're like, you know, I get it, you went undefeated and it was out of your control. But y'all were gonna get just absolutely mopped. But you think Auburn cared about that game? They just lost to Georgia with a chance to go to the playoff. And it was and Kerryon Johnson was like Mr. Potato Head after that game. Like his legs and arms were laying all over the field. Like it just, again, you had a great year. Congrats. But that's like, to me, it's like in high school if the JV team went undefeated and they're like, yeah, we won state. It's like, no, you didn't. You went undefeated in the JV, so that's great. Congrats. Y'all beat the middle school team against their 2s and 3s. That's great. This has got a bright future. The high school coach is happy. But y'all didn't win state.
Well, I think that's about it for this one. This is really fun interview here. Y'all got anything else to say?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it a lot, man.
Yeah,
We-
absolutely.
We'd love to have you on again, maybe sometime later down the football season and talk more when closer to college football playoffs start and stuff like that. It'd be all.
When Auburn starts that 5-game skid.
That's right.
Yeah, can't wait. No, I appreciate you guys having me on, and yeah, man, whenever y'all want, you can check us out. Just go to YouTube, type in Crain and Company. It's CRAIN and Company. I mean, we just had Brett Favre. Got Tom Luganville coming on tomorrow, Tim Brando coming on Friday. We're talking everything college football and NFL, man. I appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. Hey, and ask Tim Brando why he blocked me from Twitter.
Sure, that'll be the first thing I ask him.
Appreciate it, boy.
All right, thanks.
All right.
All right, so what an interview. That was definitely a big fish, Peyton.
Yes.
You wasn't lying when you said we caught a big fish, and Mr. Crain. I'm not going to lie, nerded out on the Daily Wire stuff. And
made some fans.
I didn't even realize he was part of the volume. I would have nerded out on that, too, because I'm a big-time volume fan.
You must have missed that in the group messages. I said that.
Dude, I missed a lot in the group messages,
Yeah,
man. I can't read that fast.
He was rising, obviously, steady there for the first year, and then Cowherd, started the volume and started getting some of those guys, and then I get on Twitter.
The guy was literally interviewing for a defensive coordinator job at a college and was like, I think I'm going to try this podcast thing out.
Right.
I mean, that's
now
crazy.
He's worked for the volume
and
Cowherd.
And one of the biggest, podcasts, on the planet in the Ben Shapiro show is the Daily Wire. So, I mean, yeah, when he was saying like that's like LeBron telling you you're good at basketball, that's a good analogy because Ben Shapiro's show is that big.
Yeah.
So so Ben Shapiro went and hired Dr. Jordan Peterson and Jake Crain. I mean that's pretty wild, dude. And I definitely name dropped to a couple of my friends who are friends love the Daily Wire, and I was like, so we just had the Daily Wire sports guy on, and they were like, Jake Crain? I was like, yep. Yeah. So definitely excited about that. And talk about just could rapid fire facts about whatever.
I mean,
yeah. he even dropped movie references in for us, which Clay, I don't know, but I think it's worth a shot at hitting him back up and be like, hey, we got to have you on for one of our movie podcasts.
Yeah, get him a dirty five of
Harry Potter, Harry Potter stuff.
We talked about the Adam Sandler thing, and he did 51st Dates. He did Longest Yards.
Man, he's all over it.
Hey, I every time he'd throw one out, I look over at Clay, and that grin just kept getting bigger and bigger over there.
He nailed it. He nailed it.
I almost broke out the Hanukkah song when he mentioned.
And it's
Adam
impressive
Sandler.
too because he didn't know one question we were going to ask him.
No.
And whatever
Dude,
I asked
you
him,
hit him with a whopper from the jump.
Yeah.
If you were a college commissioner, what is the one thing you would change?
He'd been thinking about that. He had that answer ready.
Yeah, he did absolutely. I mean, he knew exactly what he wanted to go with it there. And,
even his format, which I thought was different from anything I've heard.
Yeah,
I liked.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe y'all have heard that format before, but I haven't heard it. That was the first time for me to hear it.
I have. That was the first time I've heard his format.
Yeah,
I love that format. I think it's something that really could happen. Like you don't.
Yeah.
Like it's not. That's not a big. And I love how he kept the group of five still having a chance to play with the big boys.
That's right.
But he also didn't leave them out where they can still play for something.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's
the best of both worlds. And two, there's no way college football can't make money off that.
There's
no way. And it's got to be. I mean, people are getting tired of watching the
Bamas and Clemsons of the world.
Well, not that, but all the crappy bowl games.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Hey, and he brought that up, and that's the same crap I would say.
He did.
I said we don't want a gift card to Outback, and he was like, yeah, we don't want
a chair,
Xbox.
an Xbox, and a recliner. Yeah. And I agree. The thing I like because the big boys are always going to be there.
Yeah,
they're going to. That's not.
And they're going to dominate. And like he said, it's not about you can't out call talent on the field, and so that means that the Louisiana Techs,
they're still going to
99 times out of 100, you're not going to take down.
That's right.
A top 5 team.
Well, Bill, how many students were at how many fans were at the Live Tech game this past Saturday? Roughly, what was the percentage of the stadium probably was filled up?
Maybe half.
maybe half.
We gotta do better though.
But you're talking the first home game of the season.
We got to do better. And if I wasn't at work, I would have been at that game. But
what I'm saying is though, you get them, let them have a 12 playoff group of 5 conference. Say they had the first playoff game at home.
Oh, dude, all over.
There won't be a seat. Everybody in North Louisiana would come to that.
And back in the day when we were playing like the Boise's and Fresno's and stuff, we would, it would be packed out.
There were games. It was.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not a big La Tech fan, but when Case, what's his name? Hawaii, the quarterback.
Cole Brennan.
RIP. When he came, I went to it.
That's right.
That's a pretty cool deal.
Because you're playing with the guy on NCAA football.
Yeah. I mean, who was at the time was in the Heisman running.
What's his name? The OC for Dallas. That
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore that Chance hates.
Yeah.
Dude, I went to watch him.
Yeah.
Why does Chance hate him?
Central Florida.
Because he's plays for Boise.
Dante Culpepper. Did y'all?
Yeah, I watched Dante Culpepper come through there.
Mahomes.
But I mean,
when did he come through?
Colin Kaepernick came to Ruston.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I remember Kaepernick in college.
I remember
he was
that too.
He was so good in college that you just.
Well, I mean, and also, when's the last time you saw Nevada football? I mean, Nevada.
Since.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's the reason.
Yeah, he was good. He was so good in college.
For some reason, I have such a vivid memory of that Nevada Boise game.
Same here.
It was like a Thursday night game or something, and it's a field goal to miss it. I remember that game so much. Don't know why.
And
core memory.
Yeah, and that's what's going to get these schools. Because they're going to, like we talked about
ESPN guys again.
We talked about with Jake how when you're going these 12 games, you're decreasing the regular season. You're taking away from, like he said, the Oklahoma-Tulane matchups.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's their moneymakers. Okay. The Sun Belt 3 teams this past weekend brought in $4.1 million because they played Notre Dame, A&M, and Nebraska.
I feel like those kids should get a cut of that since they made all that money.
That's true.
Seriously.
But you have these playoff games for these group of 5s. They sell out their stadiums. That's another way where they can make money, man.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win across the board.
And I love his ranking system. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, have 2 separate ones.
I've
Pretty
got
cool.
2 separate ones, and then let
that
the
way
number
you're
one,
playing for something.
You're playing for something, absolutely. And the number one means something.
Like he said, with the super conferences forming, I mean, there's no need to go out and play.
No. There's not. There's no point of an LSU going to even to play a Florida State again. Why?
Yeah,
we've got Texas and Oklahoma.
All the competition you need.
You got all you want. So go schedule you.
And so I like how he was talking about the 3 rivals. Who would our 3 be? Arkansas, Alabama, and
3 rivals in the SEC.
Yeah.
Oh, LSU's 3 rivals.
Yeah. Alabama, Arkansas, and who else?
Alabama, Florida. I think Florida.
It has been Florida, but it feels like the A&M in the last 3 or 4 years has really even gotten more than Florida, and I think it's going to stick that way because I think you're going to lose the Florida matchup when the conference expands. And that's what I think.
Oh, that won't be an annual.
I don't think it will be.
So
I don't.
Who would be Oklahoma's 3 then? Obviously Texas. And then A&M.
Probably A&M.
I think A&M.
And then who else?
Probably Missouri.
Yeah, that makes sense. I forget
Big
Missouri's
12.
All the kind of Big 12
experience.
Yeah, schools again.
I don't see Missouri as anybody's rival.
No.
It's Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, their own self.
Ole Miss, Kentucky, and
Kentucky football is on the rise.
Hey,
South Carolina.
You ask some of your old school LSU fans, they'll say Ole Miss almost before.
That's what I was thinking. Like Ole Miss might need to get in there.
But the problem is Ole Miss just hasn't won enough games in the last probably 10 years against LSU to really make
now
that rivalry.
Did he actually go to Auburn? He just grew up in Alabama.
Grew up in Alabama.
I was going to say
to me after Bama.
Now his dad might have played
Florida's
there.
I
don't know that.
Yeah. I think that's what they
said.
His
dad did play at Auburn.
So that's probably where he grew up.
But
like
Jordan Hare.
Florida's always felt like that second rival to me, even more than Arkansas.
Yeah,
we've had the rivalry game that's like named with Arkansas, but
Florida goes back to like 2007.
Yeah, it's the Tebow days.
Yeah,
goes back to the Tebow days.
And I guess because they've been more relevant and actually good,
winning things than
that Black Friday game with LSU and Arkansas. We used to be so.
That
big.
was the big. I mean,
Well,
I remember. I mean, that's
Arkansas
how
LSU is like New Orleans, Atlanta. Like no matter how bad Arkansas is, it's going to be a fight. No matter how bad the Falcons are, it's going to be a fight.
Right.
So Arkansas's got to be there. Alabama, I think, just
and then
it's
that Florida A&M toss up.
Yeah, it's a coin flip.
I would toss up Ole Miss over Florida probably.
Really?
Oh, they go back, man. They
do.
They got a long history.
But if you went back to the say early mid 2000s, I think Florida was. Well, I mean, even the Tebow years. I mean, LSU Florida then was
early.
Actually, one of my favorite all-time games being in Tiger Stadium was the Tebow year. I mean, that place was.
Oh yeah, where Hester went for it on. Yeah, dude.
Fourth down.
Dude, that game was bananas. Let me talk about that for just a second. My dad got free tickets from a salesman, and we ended up in the nosebleeds with the Florida fans, surrounded. Like people were talking trash to us, and we were like high school kids, you know. Well, I guess we were in college, but Ryan would have been in high school. Tyler would have been in high school, and we saw a Florida and an LSU fan get into a fight, like right there in front of us, and we were taking it the whole game because Florida was kicking our butts, and then right at the end we pulled it off, and it was the best experience. And even though I was in the Florida stands, with the visitors, it was still the best experience.
That's it, yeah. And I was at that one, and then I was at the one 2 years later when we got beat by Tebow in Florida. That was the year the LSU students fans got his cell phone number for some reason, and apparently it got ugly that week.
Yeah. But even I don't know if it was last year, year before, the one where it was
the shoe game.
Yeah, that
2 years ago.
LSU was bad.
Yes.
Florida was having a good year. Like they were
that was
ranked,
the year that they were
number
had a
6
playoff.
Maybe or
something.
What is our record versus Florida since 2007? I feel like we've been kind of.
It's probably been pretty even.
I bet you say it's almost 500. Yeah.
I
really do. That was a shoe game, Clay. Where
I remember watching that.
Yeah. We had
all the as soon as the shoe throw happened, I don't know about y'all, but I immediately went to Austin Powers. Who throws a shoe? Immediately.
But I remember that year. Everything just felt weird and everything with football, and it was kind of hard to fully get into. The only games I remember watching was Florida and Bama, because I guess those are just the ones that I wanted to tune into.
You always want to watch. That's right. I agree with that.
Before we go too far into that, let's get into this week.
Yeah. Let me get one more thing there. I was a little shocked on his A&M Texas prediction there.
I was too.
I really that one shocked me, and I wish I would have went more into that and why he thought that. I guess he predicts Jimbo over Sark.
Well, will Jimbo be there in 3 years?
A $77 million buyout.
That money's nothing these days. Johnny Mann's getting that.
I really think. I feel like when Texas does get in the SEC, they're kind of getting on that rise. And, I actually, when I was watching the game last week, I forgot Gary Patterson was there for the defense coordinator job.
Oh, wow.
That's why their defense has improved so much. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, they stick with this coaching staff right here, and you get them in the SEC where the recruiting grounds is going to open up even more. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be scary because I really think they're going to hurt A&M when they get in the SEC. I think A&M's been able to help being in the SEC, and they're not.
They're in the SEC.
Yeah. So now when Texas is there, I think. But hey, he might be thinking on other ways that I'm not thinking of. But that answer shocked me when I asked him that. I love how he dogged Nebraska. That made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah. So week 3, right? Week 3 of
How
college
are we
football?
already in week 3, man?
Feels like it's week 1.
Almost over. Is it technically a asterisk week 4?
Hey,
because of your week 0.
I feel about this football season like I feel about my 2-year-old growing up. I'm like, just slow down, man. I'm having fun. I missed you.
It's gonna fly by.
Oh yeah,
it is, especially with us covering it the way we are.
Yep.
All right, let's just enjoy it. So, big matchups for this week. What y'all got? I've got some highlighted in.
Well,
y'all tell me.
We've got 2 ranked matchups.
All have pretty easy games. There's
and we said that in week 2.
Yeah. Hey,
supposed to have easy games.
Bill, tell them what we talked last night. Tex got this.
Oh yeah.
Tech, yeah.
Yeah.
Tech's covering at the least.
Yeah, Tech will not tech it up.
Tech will cover.
We also predicted Clemson will change quarterbacks in this game.
I was about to say I'm going to watch the game just to see if they switch quarterbacks at the point of the game when it actually matters. not in what
I don't think it's going to happen.
They're going to change quarterbacks.
DJ and Ugalele, whatever. There's the vibe of him playing, man. It just not. It doesn't feel like it's there.
Their next two games are at Wake Forest, who's ranked right now number 19, and then against NC State, who's number 16. Too, So this is their last shot to kind of get
before conference.
Kind of get that idea.
Yeah.
So I think, and they didn't really blow out Furman, who we had to look up where Furman is and who they play.
What conference?
Yeah, they won that 35-12. So
we don't know.
I would hope
North
Tech.
Carolina.
They're in the Southern Conference.
They're in a good basketball conference with like Wofford and
Georgia State.
Mercer. Ooh, Mercer.
Georgia State.
Ooh, Mercer. What happened? Has Mercer ever done anything in March Madness?
They've never made it past the first weekend.
Really?
Ever.
But they're in there.
Have they won around one game? I feel like they did. Maybe against Duke.
What are they, the Rat?
Whoa! Yeah.
That might have been who beat Duke.
It was.
It definitely was.
That's
That's why he's doing this. Yeah.
I know Mercer.
I think he has a hat, actually, a Mercer.
Chance. And Chance, to think you defended his honor last
year.
Yeah,
man.
You took up
God on Baker's
Clay.
sword.
And then he's going to sit there and
He
just
fell
take
on
the
Baker's
sword
sword.
and stab you.
Clay, I'm telling you, we were about to throw down in this mug. It was getting
I died for
spicy.
Baker last week.
Also in that conference is Wofford. I think they beat North Carolina in a regular season game like 2 years ago. So
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, but I like how you went regular season game instead of tournament. That
Oh
was-
yeah, we don't have those games like Duke does like every other year. Mercer, who's the other ones?
Lehigh.
Oh yeah, CJ McCollum.
South Carolina.
That
was a home game for South
It was
Carolina.
rigged. Yeah.
It was a mile away from their campus.
Yeah, one of the
Can
things.
you imagine how basketball season's going to be?
Oh, man. Wait till tournament starts.
Shoot.
I said we were talking last night. I said if Furman's quarterback could go 30 of 39 for 256 yards, surely.
Yeah, hopefully Parker McNeil or whatever his name is can go out there and do something. God.
How did he do that against Clemson?
Yeah, 30 for 39. But
because Brent
like
Venables
Clemson had to keep their starters in that whole game, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, they're defensive guys in Oklahoma. That's why.
Okay.
They no longer have a defensive coordinator.
Let me see this Tyler Huff fella.
I don't think he has a picture.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
he ain't got a picture.
It's Furman.
It's the logo.
Hey, they say 6'1", 208. He's probably 5'11", 195.
At the most.
I love him though, man. I love it.
He's a senior and he don't have a picture. This is fourth year there.
That's Furman.
I tell you what, that backup quarterback for Clemson, the freshman, that kid obviously has a little time he's played, but man, he looks so smooth out there.
Yeah.
He looks like the real
I didn't
deal.
see him. Did he? He's out there?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's going to be the same situation when Trevor Lawrence took over for Kelly Bryant that year.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing.
It's the perfect comp there.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
agree.
to give that game a 34-point spread.
Yeah.
While they just beat Furman by 23. And I would
Is that a
say
lot?
that Tech is a better football team than Furman. But
Okay. Yeah.
Now Clemson might be pissed
Most
off
time,
and
yeah.
go out here and want
That's
to
the
prove a
thing.
point.
That's where I think they're going off.
Yeah.
I think they're thinking Dabo.
The same reason Bama's is a 49-point favorite against ULM.
That's just
Saban
that's just
probably
factual.
killed a freshman this week.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay,
doubt.
and he buried him at midfield.
Hey, I tell you what, if Will Anderson jumps off sides one more time, I got a feeling he gonna have a discussion too.
Let's kick him out. Kick him out. You don't do that crap.
But 34 points. I mean,
And it's not like Clemson's just explosive.
surely they're going to cover that, right?
I would not be shocked.
Well, I guess.
Hey,
I guess
what
the
did Hoot
question
say
is-
last night?
He felt the same way as us.
All right.
I guess the question is on that is, do you think it's going to be they're not going to cover it because Clemson's just not going to score a lot of points? Both. Yeah. Because I mean,
Clemson's first two games disappointing. I mean, 35-12 against Furman.
Man,
Well, I mean,
Tech always
41 against Georgia Tech.
does well on
Yeah.
defense. You know,
It was
something
40
we take pride in up here in Ruston.
I was just wondering. I mean, because I don't see even Tech scoring a lot. It's the problem.
Well,
won't
if
score
you think
a
back
ton.
to that Missouri game, Missouri's worse than Clemson. Clemson's still,
yeah.
But Tech was up in that first quarter. We had a decent start. By the end, they just kind of wore out. That's why I'm thinking Tech goes out there, plays a competitive first quarter, maybe quarter and a half, then they switch quarterbacks. And then that's whenever that.
They're going to play good long enough for ESPN to send out an alert saying what's happening in where do they play at in South Carolina.
Fake the game and we're 0-0. We're
Death
worried.
Valley.
There's an issue brewing.
Yeah, I said far too many people are going to be watching ACC Network at 7 p.m. Saturday.
Why don't they even do a money line for games like that?
I will. It was almost one of my bets.
For people like us
It's
to
not a
make
bad
money.
one to take, and the reason, I guess, because of that is because you're playing. They're going to play 2 quarterbacks, so there's going to be a little learning curve when the second one comes in. I mean, it's not like you're going to have an offense that's going to be clicking because they got their starting quarterback that's not really clicking with him anyway, and then you bring in another one that's going to have to get some time.
But surely Vegas knows that though.
Yeah, that's an interesting line.
It is.
It is.
Well, what about the?
So does Alabama cover against ULM, or does Tech cover?
Hell, Alabama's covering that one.
I think Tech has the better shot.
I think Tech has the better
Yeah,
shot.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no money line.
I agree with Jake. I think Bama covers
I don't think O'Bowden ULM is.
that might be a 75-3 route.
What is it? They had to score 50 to cover.
The only thing
thing
though is Saban. He doesn't just run up the score a lot when he plays teams like this.
Yeah.
He calls.
Hey,
the
hold on
dogs
now.
off.
Saban might have 07 in his head.
Oh,
when
I know he will.
But they could cover the first half.
But I mean,
really.
Look, the next year when they rolled through to play at Independence Stadium, they had signs waiting on them.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. They might cover by accident.
Yeah, so I don't know. That'll be an interesting one.
50 is a lot.
There's
though.
one right there that Crain mentioned, the Kansas-Houston one. I actually looked at that and said, that's kind of an interesting line, but I cannot ever probably put money on Kansas
I'll
football.
believe Kansas when I see Kansas.
Well, he's not the only one I've heard talk about that game.
Who is the head coach over there now?
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about
the
Kansas.
Buffalo head coach. Yeah, Buffalo's program's been pretty good.
Khalil Mack, right?
Huh?
Yeah,
Khalil Mack, that's right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Jarrett Patterson, running back.
And I think Jake's right. I think that hire was kind of a sleepy under the radar pick because he went to where he went.
They got rid of Les Miles.
Well, yeah, that was the
smartest
thing
they
had
to. They had
all
to.
the grass. They had to get him out of there.
You've seen those memes, haven't you, about Iowa's new offensive coordinator they hired, right?
Yeah.
Les Miles, he said he can even change that offense up. You know?
One thing about old Les, though, he's rich.
Yes,
he
daggum
is.
right he is.
So is Coach O.
That's right. He can buy some hamburgers.
So is Scott Frost.
He's got the blondes as well.
Let's talk about those two. We have 2 top 25 ranked matchups. First one, Miami and A&M. At A&M.
I'm really ready to see that ball
That's a
game.
tough game.
Because how's A&M going to answer after last
And
week?
I treat Miami the same way I treat Kansas. I'll believe Miami is back whenever Miami shows me they're back. I guess a real team.
Well, you mean Texas, I guess. Not Kansas. Because Kansas has never been back.
I'm talking about Kansas being a good football school.
Oh, you're just saying.
Miami being good
They had
again.
that year with Akeem Talib. They had that one year. They weren't like
That was
they
like
lost
20 years
one
ago.
game. It was like 07.
Devin Hester.
15 years ago.
Akeem Talib? Holy cow.
I've watched a whole video about that season. I don't know why.
Doesn't he have a kid?
He went to Kansas, didn't
Doesn't he have a kid playing now?
Yeah, and then Bill said Devin Hester.
Oh, what they were talking about Miami.
Doesn't
Akeem
Talib have a kid playing now?
He might.
He just had someone get shot. His brother.
What's crazy is Miami used to be like one of the best teams.
Oh yeah,
because they were paying players before other people started doing it.
That's right.
They
Exactly.
just went down.
Ray Lewis,
and
Greg
they
Olson.
were.
And Florida has some talent. That's the thing.
They were doing that before the sleeping giant of the SEC woke up too, and they started going in Florida and taking all their players.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
What happened? What
Dade
happened
County.
in the SEC that started the arms race? I mean, was it Nick Saban?
I say.
And Nick
I think
Saban
that-
at LSU?
I think Nick Saban at LSU
Maybe
kind
when
of
he come to LSU.
Because
got
you
the ball
know,
rolling.
when we went in there and beat the crap out of Oklahoma.
Yeah,
But then the next 2 years, next 3 years were just USC and Texas.
Yeah, but I mean, they had some monsters.
Were building.
Yeah,
after
and then
that,
Florida.
When
Florida was
Urban-
probably what started the streak. Really.
Yeah, and the 06 is when they won their first one there because they won the 06 one, LSU won the 07 one, Florida won the 08 one.
So-
then
The guys
Alabama
that-
won the
09.
09.
Yeah.
So
that
I
was
mean,
it.
and then there it goes.
Auburn at 10, I think.
Yep, Auburn at 10. And I want to talk about the 11. Moving on from that one.
LSU didn't play in that one. They didn't show up.
They didn't cross half field. So, yeah,
So-
Kansas went 12-1 in 2007.
Oh, was that when the Yeah, that was the game when they played Missouri with Chase Daniels.
Clay, you have really come up in an era of championships.
They reached number 2 in the BCS in week 12.
Seriously. Between all the SEC stuff, I mean, you know,
crazy, man.
Yeah.
It really
I mean,
is.
the only thing you missed was the Bulls back in the day.
Well, I mean,
you weren't around for that.
The USC era. I mean, you were young when that
I was 5.
He was around for Brady and Belichick.
Yeah.
You know, that dominant run.
But all that stuff, I might have been young, but
yeah,
I can tell you anything about it now.
I still remember Joe Montana, even though I was a chap when he was doing his thing.
Yeah, I'm saying with the Cowboys. I mean, we were young, you know, but I mean, I remember all that.
Yeah, I remember my dad telling me that
Bill
he was
at
cokehead.
Bill was sitting with John Candy.
I was just about to say that. Hey, Bill's perking up over. We keep going back to the 90s.
Come on. Let's go back. 87.
It was Missouri versus Kansas, November 24th, 2 versus 3.
That's the game I remember.
Yeah. What a pull.
I remember that.
This is random, but did y'all see Prime on Barstool talking about Brett Favre? Did y'all catch that clip?
Oh, no.
Like, Portnoy was calling Brett Favre overrated and a bum. And Prime was like, when you went to his house, did you not see the 3 MVP trophies hanging in there?
Exactly.
But
Prime's like, I played against him.
Yeah. Anyways, that was random.
So A&M Miami, what we thinking?
I really think A&M bounces back and wins.
Yeah,
I do especially too. Being at Kyle Field. I think that's
who's the quarterback.
I think Max Johnson's quarterback before that game's over with.
Yep.
And I wouldn't surprise me if they don't start him this week.
If they don't, though, they probably lose.
What they got to lose?
Yeah, they don't. I mean, he's. I promise you, he's going to be a heck of a lot better than King back there. I mean, Max is going to. He's going to keep you in the ball game. I mean, even like Jake talked about LSU, and it's true. I mean, we were terrible, but somehow we were still in ball games. And you look, Max throwing a game-winning touchdown to Dre Jenkins down the sideline or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. He went there for a reason. I mean, surely he was told that he had a good shot at getting that job.
He didn't have a shot at LSU?
He did. I just think he wanted just a new clean slate, man. And I'm not sure if NIL.
You think he was frustrated because he knew he was that much better than Miles Brennan, and Miles was getting the talk with the other guys?
Miles, him and Miles went in the portal at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
He might have went before Miles.
Yeah, he did go. He did. He went before Miles, but I mean, it was like the same month. They both did it in December, and I don't know if NIL might have something to do with it too. To be honest.
Good point.
That could have been.
His dad's Brad Johnson. Though.
Yeah, but dude, money wants to have money though.
Yeah.
Still, I mean,
that's true.
And then his brother, he was committed to us at tight end.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he flipped and went to A&M.
Imagine the McCaffreys, how much money they could have made if like the NIL was just a little bit older.
Yeah. Oh, ain't no doubt.
Because Ed McCaffrey produced some freaking stud athletes.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of the Max going to A&M, I agree with Crain on that transfer portal thing. I think in conference it shouldn't, or if you do it, you sit out a year.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that got changed. Because that used to be kind of.
It used to be an SEC
It was a
rule.
conference thing. That's right.
It was an SEC rule.
It was an SEC rule, and I guess their fear was
somebody's
their
going to
talent's
overrule
going
them
to
or
start
something.
that, or their talent's going to start bolting from the conference.
Yeah.
So I guess
they want to leave. So
they
let
still
them
want to be the elite conference in college football.
Right. Because hey, that guy at LSU wants to go to Auburn. Well,
if you block that, who'd go to Ohio State?
Yeah, I'll go to Ohio State or go to Texas or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Well,
so
it's like this year where the Georgia wide receiver
went to
transfers
Bama.
and goes to Bama.
Wins the national championship
exactly.
and you're the best receiver on
the team, goes to Alabama to win another one.
To win another one. That's right. And possibly could just stay to Georgia and might have won it anyway.
Actually, they're number one right now.
Yeah, right.
He got tired of Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, and he probably was. I mean,
so the other.
While we're talking about Prime, I guess we could talk about Jackson State's playing another local school here.
Oh, they are.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
That's right.
I don't think Jackson State's gave up a point this year. If I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that they haven't gave a.
Let me see about that.
Hey, speaking of Grambling, how about? I mean,
yeah, they had a
little nice win at Northwestern State.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, we've got to make that interview happen, Brayley.
Yes, Rayleigh.
59-3 and then 16-3. So they've not allowed a touchdown.
They haven't allowed a touchdown. Yeah.
So Gremlin's quarterback was the SWAC Player of the Week.
I think it's the kid from Richwood, huh? Hawkins, yeah. I think he's from Richwood. But
got some local flavor there.
So I mean, I think we're quickly seeing the difference in coaching. At Grambling, I think. Maybe it's too early to call.
Hey, Chance Williams is their leading receiver.
Which also.
Hey, Chance.
Hey,
freaking right.
Running back from
White Tiger.
I'm not putting a lot of stock into Northwestern State either. That program's been bad for forever.
Decades.
But,
Don't tell Bo Teat that. And don't tell Tech that a few years ago.
Since my buddy coaches at Incarnate Word, they actually play at Northwestern State this year, and I told him
I didn't even know Incarnate Word was a school.
Yeah.
I
played against them a lot in college, so I knew that's the only.
I knew him from the NCAA basketball.
I got an email, whatever, with our schedule, who was going to be in the tournament we was going up with, and I was going down looking at the schools, and I was like, Incarnate Word. So I texted my coach. I said, "This really a school? Like, is this a?"
Yeah.
I thought it was a special ed school or something. I didn't know.
Special ed school.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Hey, does anybody else see Prime wearing that Jackson State hat and just kind of want one? I don't know.
Pretty tight.
Yeah, I like it.
And Bill, it's Jackson State, not
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
With has that exact
I said
hat.
Jackson State.
Oh,
Bill.
Yeah, Bill's on the wrong thing.
That's Rich,
Oh,
that's the coach where that's Rich Rodriguez is the head coach at Jacksonville State.
Future Tech rival. About being the CUSA soon. The other ranked matchup, BYU Oregon, 12 versus 25.
I don't know where to go on that.
I don't either.
Because you can't tell me Oregon ain't gonna bounce back.
Go with the Mormons.
You can't tell me Oregon's good either.
Well, they're not. They're
Oregon's
not.
favored.
But
go with the Mormons.
It's at Oregon.
Because it's at Oregon.
Screw Bo Nix. Give me BYU.
I feel like BYU got so lucky to win that last weekend.
And I think
Baylor sucked. BYU didn't look good either, but
BYU ain't they banged up? Ain't they got
probably
seems like they got some.
Bo Nix just sucks, so give me BYU.
Yeah, I'm not a Bo Nix fan.
I guess it's the green on Oregon and Baylor, but when I saw the matchup, I was like, didn't they already play? Like it had me tripping for a minute. I had to think about it.
Auburn, Penn State.
Yeah, I'm not impressed by Penn State at all.
I'm not either.
Another quarterback who sucks.
It's going to be tough. I mean, Auburn should have beat them last year, and then they lost. But, I mean, they played them tight last year at Penn State.
Bo Nix and Sean Clifford might be the most college football quarterbacks ever.
I mean,
like they are college football.
How long has Clifford been there?
Yeah,
it's like his 6th, 7th year.
And also,
Is that the redhead?
The kid from Minnesota, Morgan. What's his name?
Trevor.
Boy, how that boat's not running anymore.
Tanner Morgan.
Tanner.
He's bald.
Yeah, he's bald.
This is his 5th year.
I had a lot of them letters.
Is it his 5th or 6th?
It's 5th year.
Okay.
5th year. Yeah.
He's been bald since he's a freshman, though.
That's college football for
No
you.
offense, Bill.
He was throwing to Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I mean, he was. No lie, he was.
He was.
And that
PJ Fleck coaching.
Was it like Rashad Bateman's like 3rd year in the league now?
Yeah.
Literally.
It's at least a second.
It's at least a second for sure.
PJ Fleck should have bolted when he had his chance because now he's gotten forgot about in the coaching circle. Like he had that Minnesota.
He had that emotional high with Corey Davis.
That's right.
Corey Davis at Western Michigan,
No,
wasn't it?
Central Michigan. Yeah, Western Michigan.
Western Michigan.
Think about our quarterback. Yeah. And he went to Minnesota. Did pretty well. Back 2 years in.
When you go to a lower level
gotta
Power
go.
5 school, you got to jump immediately whenever you can.
And he was getting calls, and he didn't want to take them for some reason.
I take one of my graduate courses is with a guy that works in the athletic department at Minnesota, and he there was an assignment about like leaders in sports or something. He wrote about PJ Fleck, and he talked about like how great of a guy he is and everything.
Oh, he seems awesome.
Yeah.
No, he seems cool. Like, I mean, he's one of those guys you probably want to play for.
Yeah, players coach.
I mean, I have nothing against him, but like I was just telling Chance, sometimes those guys think they're a little smarter than what they are. Mm-hmm. And he probably just thought, I can sit here and
Didn't
win.
they get like a freaking ESPN Plus show or something? I felt like they had a whole show centered around them.
Sure did. It was right after the COVID year, I want to say. Yeah, they did. I mean, he had a lot of. I mean, Minnesota was playing a lot of primetime games. I mean, he had them going, and then now it's all fell off.
Yeah. There aren't really many other ones
Number
that
11,
stick out to me.
Michigan State
That's the one I was about to bring up.
Washington.
Washington's the favorite too, -3.5. Who Washington? I didn't know till last night when we were talking to Hoot. Their quarterback is Penix Jr. Used to be in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Indiana was top 10, he's their quarterback now. They're 2-0. Michigan State's 2-0. which neither have really played anybody.
A tough
but
place to go in and play.
it is. It
Very,
is.
Indeed,
very tough place. So did they get their stadium rebuilt yet? Or are they playing it? Because I don't know if y'all remember seeing that video this offseason. When they blew their stadium up to redo it.
Really?
And I don't
it says
know.
Husky Stadium.
Remember, that's where that was.
That's where it was. That's where it was. So I didn't
wonder
know
why they did that.
They're actually, I think, going to. Washington Stadium never was circled around. I think
No,
they're going to
no.
kind of.
They're gonna close it in, make it a bowl.
Yeah, get a bowl type deal, which helps out for atmosphere and stuff.
Only a
absolutely.
6:30 kickoff, so that'll be 4:30 there. Not a big time difference for Michigan
About to
State.
say, they
so
don't get an advantage.
Yeah, it
on the
won't
time.
hurt them. Washington won't be. They'll still be sun out.
ABC primetime game.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's
got a West
Hey,
Coast
have a
team.
deal with them.
No, I don't.
They don't.
I don't think they do.
That'll be one of the better
Y'all
games.
think that's an upset?
I think Michigan State beats them. Michigan State gets kind of underrated every year. They just have a good
what's
program.
the spread on that game?
Tucker's done real good in the transfer portal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 3.5 for Washington.
I seen it was
Ooh,
plus 45, 145 to take Michigan State.
That's hard. That's a hard one not to take there.
Well,
and
that's
Penix,
that's on my list.
the quarterback for Washington, is he's got experience at Michigan State. I think they beat Michigan State 24-0 when he was at Indiana, so he kind of knows the team.
Look at that stat line too: 46 for 66, 682, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Oh yeah, he's a good college quarterback.
Solid.
Definitely.
I mean, he made Indiana good.
Yeah, yeah. I think that they had that game where they almost beat Ohio State.
Yes, they did. It was like on Thursday or Friday night.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Remember
that?
But honestly, if you were him, would you have not found a way to change your name before you got to college and they had to put the name on your back?
Penix.
Penix.
Say it 5 times
Penis.
fast.
Penix.
Penix.
I mean, if people like us were in the locker room with them, that'd be a prank every week, right?
Hey, Keon Coleman, check him out.
Yeah, from
Proud of
Opelousas Catholic.
Opelousas.
Yep. Two-sport star up there.
Two-sport athlete.
Other big one that I've been looking forward to for a while now, Texas versus UTSA. It got a little more interesting when Ewers went out. If Ewers was there, I probably think it's.
What's that
I think
line,
Texas
Clay?
takes it 12.5 in favor of
12,
Texas.
Ooh.
Frank Harris, quarterback at UTSA, he's legit. He one of the better quarterbacks in that's not in the Power 5, honestly. He's the kind of guy that can win you a game by himself. He'll run the ball as well. UTSA, they're freaking good. They're good.
So is Texas other backup quarterback that was banged up? Card?
Yeah,
he's good to go.
He's supposed to be good.
I heard he was good to go.
Yeah, which he's nothing but a game manager. He ain't gonna win you a game.
Is
at
that
all.
who UTEP played week 1?
Who? UTSA?
Uh-huh.
They played
North
Houston.
Texas.
UTSA played Houston.
Okay.
North Texas played UTEP.
Gotcha.
But no, UTEP went to
UTEP played
UTSA last
Oklahoma,
year.
Kyle. That's
Yeah,
Okay.
they lost like 51-14 or something. UTSA was just running the ball over the field. They're legit. If they don't win the CUSA, there's something wrong. I think UTSA has a chance to win it. It's hard to just straight up take that.
Well, they definitely could cover.
Yeah, 12.5 point spread. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a field goal either way. Honestly, wouldn't be shocked if Texas wins by 21 somehow. Just because it's that kind of game where
we come
Texas,
off a big loss.
Yeah,
8 o'clock to kickoff. That's
You have three.
They'll have the home field advantage for straight
that's
8
one
o'clock.
of the games Texas has to win.
You
I
have
mean, they have to win.
3 offensive linemen, freshmen
it's
offensive
actually
linemen.
7 o'clock here.
So
I guess Bill's got Eastern time on his computer. I don't know.
What the crap, Bill?
No, I don't. Come on.
That VPN over there.
Saw that traveling, that cruising he's doing. They don't know what his phone. Laptop don't know what time zone he's
It's weird.
If Texas loses this game, this season might get away from them.
Oh, it's over.
You know what I'm saying? It might get away from then the Sarkisian, let's fire him, chirps start happening for no apparent reason.
And then Manning's gone.
And then Manning's going to decommit out of nowhere. So
he sucks.
If Barry
honestly
Dotson,
think,
if
I
Barry
think they have a
Dotson's
lot
listening to
riding
this,
on
he's
this.
going to stroke.
I think they got a lot riding on it.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing, I'll bring it up later, but because it's going to be one of my picks.
Hey,
is that
the wheels could fall
Chance,
off.
I don't think Barry Dotson likes that take.
He probably
Just
does.
saying.
Biggest
Texas
UT
Tech
fan I've
and
ever
NC
met in my
State.
life.
Yes.
Texas Tech, NC State, that could be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Texas Tech just went and beat Houston.
Yeah.
Those are two teams that are, middle of the road, but both are solid,
Texas State and NC State feel like the same programs.
They do. About the same level of their conferences.
Have every other year have a
it's
quarterback.
Probably
that can
it's
go.
a big test for NC State and that quarterback. It could be a game that could help boost his stock a little bit because it's a Big 12 school. Yeah, it's Texas Tech, but still it's Big 12 instead of ACC.
Well, if you're going to compete in their conference, NC State, they got to win this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Another one that could be a little interesting, USC Fresno State, 9:30 kickoff on Fox. Fresno State's got a good program. I think that might be a closer game than people think. It's 12.5 spread.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah,
too.
it definitely will.
That's one you might want to
take the over.
Take the over and the spread.
What's that spread, Bill? Look at that. But 12.5 point. 12.5 point spread. 74 line for over under. Jesus.
This looks.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd take that over under. That's a lot of points.
And that's 38-37.
But one of those teams might score 60. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's like 60-56.
But this looks a lot like last week, where there's just a few games, and you're thinking, oh, it ain't gonna be much, and then there's a bunch of upsets.
Well, but the thing that's a little different is that some of those teams are playing like FCS teams almost instead of like lower Group of 5 schools. Like you've got Arkansas,
10,
Pine Bluff, Missouri State, Youngstown State,
the top
UConn.
10 seems pretty safe.
Yeah. Another one that it probably won't be interesting.
Are you going to bet the USC game?
I might, because that'll be a fun one to watch late at night.
Man, I think USC's really good, man.
I think USC can.
I do too.
I could see them.
For sure.
I could see them having the best offense in the country almost.
Yeah, I don't think their defense is ready yet.
They're going to be good for a while. They're fixing to build a program.
As long as Lincoln Riley's going to be there, I'm going to think they're going to be great.
But he's going to be able to get anybody in the West Coast now.
Yeah.
Because now you've pretty much – the Pac-12 is gone.
He has an advantage now because he actually can recruit a state with good players.
Yeah, Oklahoma never had that.
It's actually a part of that state.
He came down to Manny and got Tackett.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm talking about he actually has California now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to go out there and beg people to come from California to Oklahoma.
And nobody in California is going to compete against him. Stanford, California.
He's got that
UCLA,
whole state on lock.
Ain't
The same way
nobody.
LSU should have Louisiana on lock.
We talked about this before, but I think 3 or 4 years, and then he leaves and goes to the NFL.
I predict he's going to be in the NFL in 5 years. I really do. He's got that itch, and he wants to
build
scratch
something.
It,
They're going to be competing for a national championship in about 3 or 4 years,
and then somebody's going to give him a call.
He's going to coach the Cowboys one day.
There's really only.
This is to be the biggest year that the biggest year that any USC Trojan has had since '94.
Oh, 94.
When
they
OJ
they weren't good at football then, were they?
No, but OJ got away with it.
Oh,
boom! Hey, number 30, huh?
30.
Yeah, the Steph Curry number, Clay.
Yeah. Hey, don't associate that name with that criminal.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
If the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
I've got 2 more games that are involving ranked teams that I think might be interesting. South Carolina, Georgia at South Carolina. I don't think it's going to be a close
35.
game, but Rattler gets that big test. He hasn't really looked good.
Screw
but
Rattler.
Still, yeah, I'm not a Rattler fan. I didn't understand the hype, but
I will never understand the hype.
Well, he doesn't have it now.
Well, but he did when he went to Oklahoma.
Last year, he was the number 1 pick.
He is to college football what Brian Bosworth was to the NFL.
Explain that.
A bust.
All the hype coming into it, and he's a bust. Yeah, I get it.
Hey, I have to admit something here. I heard the name Spencer Rattler. I expect somebody in cowboy boots and a, trucker hat.
Yeah.
I thought he was a white guy.
Kinda. He's like half, huh?
But
yeah, he's
kind of hard to tell.
He's definitely a white guy name.
Yeah.
Thought he was a fellow.
A little bit of both, I think.
But yeah, that'd be interesting.
I mean,
to
you
watch.
hear Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
11 a.m. kickoff.
Who names their kid Spencer?
Georgia might come out
Roxy.
flat. It'll be
That's my cousin, man.
I know. Name drop a little bit.
And the other one, Oklahoma at Nebraska. The line's only 11. for Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's
you might
gonna
hear me
cover.
talk about that after a while.
It keeps going down.
It don't make sense. Like
it started bigger than that.
Hey, man, it's the Mickey Joseph effect.
That's
man.
what she said.
Yeah, they're going to come out there and
what is it that we don't know?
Yeah, are they going to come out there and play inspired football for Mickey Joseph?
Is half the team like hurt for Oklahoma? Do they have the COVID? Like, what we doing here?
Last week it was a dumpster fire, and now all of a sudden they're better.
Now they're going. Yeah, now they're going to compete with Oklahoma, which Oklahoma ain't amazing, but they're
Oklahoma.
They're definitely 11 points better than Nebraska.
I mean, I don't know how you can't take that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Really?
It's a weird number.
Already have.
Okay.
I did earlier today.
Yeah, and you see a lot of times, and we've seen it with our firings at LSU and stuff. These kids, all of a sudden, they get inspired. They change some positions. Kids get to play that haven't been made. It's weird how it works.
It's always like that in the NFL.
Yeah.
NFL, a coach gets fired the next week, that team is going to win every single time.
It's weird.
But I don't see that happening right here.
But not when it's against Oklahoma. And Nebraska's not like in LSU where they had the talent. They just had a coach figure out what they're doing. Nebraska doesn't have the talent either.
That's the thing.
So, I don't see that happening at all.
I don't think a different coach makes that big a difference.
Yeah. One more that Bill's got pulled up.
Yeah.
We talked about it last night. Georgia Southern, who I didn't know had Clay Helton until they won their game against
until Jake Crain
who they beat.
Ago.
I remember when
who they beat last week. There's so many upsets, I forget.
Nebraska. That's
okay,
Frost got fired.
Yeah, there was like 5 upsets from the Sun Belt. I forgot which one was which.
Fun Belt.
So Georgia Southern beats Nebraska, and now they're a 12-point underdog to UAB.
A 12-point dog to UAB.
How?
I don't understand that.
Birmingham's going to be rocking, man.
Think they just
Birmingham is a criminal place to go play at.
You think Georgia Southern just think they're going to walk in with a big head maybe, and they just going to lay an egg? Or
that's really
still
weird.
Celebrating from last week.
UAB is always a tough place to play.
And they are.
Basketball.
Hey, when UAB
basketball, that's one of the
especially if you're wearing red, white, and blue from Ruston, Louisiana.
They cannot win there.
When UAB's coming off a loss, to Liberty, 21-14.
Yeah, I don't. That is a weird one there.
I'm gonna be all over that one.
Yeah, when
12-point, like
give me 12.
Oh my gosh,
give me 12
plus 335.
Georgia Southern's campus is literally in the middle of Atlanta too, like right in the. When I was in Atlanta a few months ago, I drove by it and I was like, that's where Clay Helton's at.
Don't they play in the old Georgia Dome?
They're
Turner Field.
Turner Field.
They're playing at Turner Field.
Wow. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Because when I drove by Turner Field, they had all of their stuff. Logos on the side of the
stadium. They used to play in the old Georgia Dome.
I think you're right. Yeah. I mean, it's right in the middle of Atlanta. The campus is not really. It's a bad spot. I mean, I wouldn't want that to go in downtown Atlanta. I mean,
that's why the Braves got out of there.
It's kind of like USC.
Exactly. I mean,
Braves went south for that reason.
But when Hilton, I remember Clay Helton. Man, you went from USC to this. Like, that is a drop off. That's wanting to coach too, I guess, because ain't no way I'd have wanted that guy he got. I mean, golly.
Well, Clay, you missed the biggest game of the weekend.
Which is what?
LSU Mississippi State.
Oh
yeah.
I forgot about that.
I mean, come on.
Definitely biggest game for the pod. No?
Is it still a plus?
Yes,
plus 2.5.
2.5.
Oh. And it was plus 10 for money line.
Really?
Yeah, for LSU. Yeah,
like plus 110.
Yeah,
115 right there.
Bill, I'm sorry.
I mean, how can you not take plus money on the money line at LSU?
I'm about to add it to
mine. That's crazy.
Yeah, you don't see that very often, do you?
What time they kick off? 5?
5.
Okay, I got time.
Yeah.
I'll have time Saturday. Oh, and I'll be in Ruston Friday.
Perfect.
It's sad we have to think about that, man.
It right?
Had to schedule
it.
Hey,
what's really pisses you off is when you drive back from Ruston and you get home and you're like, I forgot. I've been in Ruston for the last 2 hours.
I worked up there and do the same thing.
I sat in the parking lot actually for a second, looked at my phone or something.
Hey man, we went to Monroe today for a doctor's appointment, and I had the phone out.
I get
What's bad is if you're watching a game and you're like, I can't do nothing.
Can't do nothing. Let me sit right here.
Do we know that that's officially on the voting thing?
It is.
It is? Like I don't know how to look that up.
I'm gonna believe Ty.
I don't know how to look it up.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Are we gonna start printing signs?
Ty said he's standing at the four lane right.
He's done it before.
The intersection.
I've seen him before.
Is that good for us?
He should go shirtless.
And if I remember correctly, it was really close.
It was like 50.5
was
the percentage. Yeah,
because it was a lot closer than it was 2 years ago.
We have that much pull. We can swing that.
We only needed 0.5.
We can swing that with this podcast.
That's like 20 people.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is usually stuff like that gets voted because most of the time
People
they
just
don't
go,
really
yes.
want it.
I
Yeah.
guarantee you, the old people thought we were gonna have a casino down there in the old Fred's.
You're probably right.
That's what they thought. I guarantee.
I mean, what's the difference? They
I
got
vote
a
yes for that.
Bingo Hall and Hodge.
Right, you got
okay,
the
but
bingo
you
hall.
Terry Bulligan shot up in that mug.
I know.
Shout out
Can
Terry.
we get a casino at Fred's?
It's almost, it's right down the road from the church.
I mean,
Yeah.
no,
Bill, start that up.
and
Casino and Fred's.
Casino in Fred's.
Yeah, get that
All right,
going.
I'm gonna
No,
make the
forget
sign.
that. We need a Taco Bell in Fred's parking lot. That's what we need.
Bell, man.
Keep Jonesboro
No.
regular.
Bill would go
Panda
broke.
Express.
Oh,
That's
hey,
what
no,
we
they
need.
probably have a two-way.
Dude,
Hey,
I'm gonna keep that mug in business.
they probably have this. You can get them both.
Yeah, kind of
Same-
like the old
same-
Pizza Hut and Taco
Yeah.
Bell.
I don't think
thing.
they're partners. That's
Well,
They
they
should
become
be.
partners.
Taco Bell and KFC.
yeah.
Whenever-
and
hey,
Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
East
Pizza Hut,
East
yeah.
meets
Whenever we-
West
Whenever we come,
in your colon.
Just mix the nationalities here.
Hey, look, I've got Japanese folks in my family. I got Mexican people in my family.
There we go.
whenever we become big, okay, we're gonna open us up a Panda Express down here in Jonesboro.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm down.
I'm gonna give
man.
myself one of them
Well, you know,
black cars where I can get as much as I
You
want.
know, the talk forever
Like
at
video poker
Popeyes
in the
was
back.
that it was going to be Taco
Video
Bell.
poker in the back.
They said that Popeyes was going to be Taco Bell.
It should have
forever.
been. I mean, all the marijuana smoked in Jackson Parish. My God, it's a freaking money cow. Instead, they try to compete with Southern Classic. What are they thinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I had the money. I'd buy a franchise and it'd be Taco Bell.
Oh, man. Spicy chicken sandwich at the Popeyes be good though.
It is. It is.
Oh, that must
Well,
be
Southern
hit.
Class has been struggling lately.
I don't understand that. And people, if anyone's listening that's not from Jonesboro, they're confused what the crap we're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of our listeners from Russia.
Yeah.
The two listeners
Or that
from
country
They
that I
don't know
couldn't
what we're
pronounce.
saying anyway.
Thank you for listening, comrades.
Well, no, Bill said something about Putin a couple weeks ago. That's what it is. He's listening to us.
Oh,
It triggered some kind of algorithm. They picked it up and like decided to listen in. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where we just went down a hole, fellas.
Yeah, hey,
How
but,
did we even get there?
but definitely jump on that LSU. That's hard. Gonna be hard not to jump on there.
Vote for gambling in Jackson Parish.
Please.
All you Russian people.
It don't mean we're starting a casino.
oh, and
It does not.
the Akron
It's for
Zips.
fantasy football.
The Akron
Yeah.
Zips
That's what it's
are 47.5 point.
Oh, that's the LeBron
Dog.
game right there. Oh, never mind. They're playing Tennessee. No,
Well,
not
LeBron
Tennessee.
ain't showing up to play, so yeah, that's not gonna.
Hey,
help
he might could bring that. If LeBron joined Akron right now, what's that line change for Tennessee?
Well,
47.5.
LeBron hadn't showed up in about 2 years, so
He's still got eligibility.
I mean, yeah, he does. Can he do that? Can he come as a billionaire and just say, "I want to play college football"?
They better recruit his kids.
Yeah.
Hey, did I see that he officially got recruited by Ohio State?
He went and visited.
He
didn't
took
get the-
pictures.
yeah, he
I
didn't get
don't
the
think he
offer.
got no offer.
What
or
is the
nothing.
deal with the no offer stuff? I
I
don't
don't know.
understand that.
I don't either.
I think everybody's just scared to do it.
I think that line comes down to like 42 if LeBron joins Akron.
Was it 47 now?
47.5. I think
he's worth at least a touchdown.
He's a touchdown at least.
Yeah, come on.
41.5.
41.5.
Yeah, 41.
Ain't nobody covering on jump ball. Just
Oh God, no.
just get it down the field.
Freak.
No matter how old he is, he's still gonna be able to get up over him. Yeah, absolutely. Especially at 6'8".
If LeBron, when he retires after Bronny gets in the NBA, he's got. I mean, he's got 4 years of college ball he can play.
He can.
He can be like the first 48-year-old.
If Brandon Whedon
college
can
football
do it,
player.
he can do it.
Brandon Whedon.
Yeah.
I know he's tall. I think I could cover him.
Was that Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State.
Woo!
First round pick by the Browns.
How about that?
His first round pick at the age of like 28.
We've got to play the Browns are dumpster fire video with all the quarterbacks for y'all after the pod. God, dude, it's glorious.
All right. Anything else for college football?
No, man.
I think it's gonna be a longer
That
episode.
that
than we've had
was
lately, but-
that was a heck of an episode from Jake joining us to Panda Express. So
I wish we'd have had that. I would have asked him.
Still
What does
Harry
he
Potter
think?
references.
What does he
Yeah.
think if LeBron would have joined Akron? We should have asked that.
We
to
should
him.
have asked him.
Crap.
Absolutely.
I'll be watching this podcast.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Shoot,
man.
yeah, I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
all right, man. Well, who dat?
Well, hey, chop on.
Go Tigers.
This ain't how it's supposed to be. It should be just you and me.